Lance Roberts is with us. He is the chief strategist of Street Talk Advisors. StreetTalkLive.com is the website. Lance, you've heard my argument. What am I missing here? Why do Republicans not want the administration to do what the law requires, the laws that they passed, what the Republicans in Congress, the Republican president said, we're going to have all of these expenses, and the next president is going to have to write the checks for them. Now you got the next president. He's got to write the checks. Why are they trying to stop him?
Well, there's two things that are going on here. And one, I wrote an article about this recently called The Need for the Debt Ceiling Debate. And the important thing here is that you're absolutely right. There are some laws that are set into place that our Congress is supposed to operate on. The president's supposed to pass a budget every year. Congress is supposed
Actually, no, the president doesn't pass a budget. There is no provision. In fact, the Constitution is quite explicit. Article 1, Section 8, only Congress has the authority to pass budgets, to authorize funds or to raise taxes. The White House can propose it if they want. It's not in the Constitution. But the White House can say, gee, this is what we would like, but they have no power.
But you're right. But the point here is that Congress is supposed to authorize the spending. Treasury issues the debt. But the problem is we haven't had a budget in 4 years.
We haven't functionally had a budget. We've had maybe 3 or 4 of them in the last 30. I don't disagree that it would be nice to have a good conversation about a budget, but the fact of the matter is that every time somebody tries to have a conversation about it, Republicans filibuster it in the Senate.
That's right. And then this is the problem that we currently have going on. And now they're talking about these things, such as using the 14th Amendment to bypass the debt ceiling, issue a $1 trillion platinum coin to bypass the debt ceiling. The point here is that the elected officials that we have need to start acting like adults and do what they're supposed to do, which is clearly stated within our Constitution. And they're supposed to be following these very laws that have been passed to run our government on a fiscally responsible basis. This is why.
Well, Lance, there's nothing in the Constitution that says that our government has to be fiscally responsible. When our country was founded, we were massively in debt.
Exactly.
To the French.
And the point here is that when the Constitution was written, remember, the people that wrote our Constitution came from a country that was fiscally bankrupt.
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
the people who wrote our Constitution.
England blew themselves up.
No. Wait a second, Lance. Go back and look at the history of the people who were at the Constitutional Convention. None of them had been in this country for less than 2 generations, most of them 3, 5, 7 generations. These were Americans. These people did not think of themselves as Brits. That's why they fought a war against Great Britain. But they didn't come from a country.
Their history and their experience was based upon what they knew and witnessed from England, and England blew themselves up more than once. Look, the whole South Sea problem that occurred with the South Sea Corporation was the fact that the government of England, fighting the war with France, transferred the debt to a private corporation that shelved it off on individuals. It blew up massively.
Well, actually, you could argue, and I don't think we want to turn this into a debate about the South Sea bubble, but it was the Dutch tulip bubble all over again. That was a stock market bubble that crashed. You could argue that was the failure of having a transparent and well-regulated stock market more than anything else.
No, the whole.
It was a market in debt, but it was a market.
The South Sea Corporation took debt from England and converted it to annuities in order to free up England to continue to fight their fight with France.
No, I've got all that, but that's not what caused the South Sea bubble.
No, of course, it didn't. No,
it was speculators.
The problem, what we're talking about, is that the experience of the individuals that founded this country came from a country that had more than once bankrupted itself.
Well, or the banks had bankrupted it. This is why many of the founders wrote, Jefferson wrote that bankers are more to be feared than armies.
Well, sure, absolutely. But
what does that have to do with Republicans saying we are not going to pay the bills? I don't understand.
No, we will pay the bills. Let's clarify something very quickly. We will not default on our debt. We are a sovereign currency issuer in this country. We can print money to pay our bills. We will not default.
Then why are John Boehner and Mitch McConnell saying that they want to use the debt ceiling as leverage? You don't take a hostage unless you are fully willing to either kill or injure that hostage. Otherwise, there's no point.
Right. Look, we shut down the government more than once. In 1995 and 1996, under the Clinton administration, we shut down the government.
Yes and no.
We furloughed jobs. They
did not default on our debt.
We laid off federal workers.
No, we did not default on our debt.
but we did not default on our debt.
It was called
either.
a government shutdown, but it wasn't. That was Newt Gingrich grandstanding. Basically,
it doesn't matter.
And it was not using the debt ceiling to do it. This is a whole different animal, Lance, and you know it.
Look, we have more than enough revenue coming in to pay our bills. It is the only reason that we'll default on our debt is if we choose to default on our debt. Period. End of story.
Well, if the Republicans refuse to raise the debt ceiling, we will default on our debt.
No, we won't. We will not default on our debt. We have the revenue.
You want to shut down the FAA?
Every month, because we're only talking about interest payments, right?
No, we're not. We're talking about the full cost of the government.
No, that's not true. That's not defaulting on our debt. Defaulting on our debt is when we don't pay, when one of our bonds come due. If we don't pay the principal and interest on our bonds, that's default.
Right.
Not paying a bill in terms of not paying our federal employees because they didn't, they showed up for work, or laying off federal workers for a month or 2 months or 3 months. That's not defaulting on our debt. Defaulting on our debt is when China shows up at our doorstep and says, here's my bond, it's due, pay me the principal and the interest.
Right.
That's a default.
Well, and it would more likely be the Bush family than China. I mean, more debt is held by Americans in America than is China. But
exactly.
To your point, we passed that throshhold a week and a half ago.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
We're doing. The Treasury Department right now is doing that dance where they're saying, to defense contractors, can you let us pay, net 60, maybe net 90 instead of net 30? Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're already doing that. What's going to happen is they're going to run out of that breathing room in 6 or 8 weeks, and that's the point at which there's like nothing left. You've got a choice. Are you going to have the FAA, or are you going to shut down the airports and pay the bondholders?
That's right.
I don't understand why you would defend Mitch McConnell. Well,
no. Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending any of those of the people up in Congress. They're a bunch of babies. They're all arguing over an issue that shouldn't be argued over at all. They need to all start acting like adults. I am not defending any of them on this issue.
Okay, Lance, nice to talk to a rational conservative. Thank you. Lance is the chief strategist with Street Talk Advisors. StreetTalkLive.com. Check it out. Thank you, Lance.